Definitely everything XR. I think there is so much more that can be done. A lot of it is in the making, but we have just begun to see what it can support humanity with.
Hey, welcome everyone back to the Particle Accelerator podcast, where we talk to future thinking business leaders about how to accelerate their business and grow their team. I am here with Karen. Karen, can you introduce yourself, please?
Happy to. Thanks for having me. My name is Karen Andreas Stephan, and I am the co-founder and CEO of EarKick. EarKick is a deep tech startup. We measure, assess, and improve mental health in real time. So it's a very timely, a very needed mission. And it's something I've been working on with my team since 2021. It was based on a master's thesis that I wrote. It's called Therapist in the Ear, How Hearables Can Improve a Patient's Journey. That was mainly around anxiety and mood disorders and how technology would or is able to really support humanity. My background, my academic background is in music. My first life, I was a professional musician. And then I switched to psychology, management psychology, and then to digital management and transformation to basically get both sides of what matters, which is how do people tick? How do humans tick? What's their code? And on the other side, how can technology support and how can we manage that like that intersection between AI, tech, and all of that, and humans?
Cool. Oh, so I'm super excited to get into this. What a exciting journey that you're on. To get to know you better, I would love to know, what was your first job? Like, go all the way back to like the first dollar that you ever earned. Like for me, it was a paper route. What was it for you?
Actually, the first real job was I was 11 when I found out that there was money to be made teaching. And so I actually taught Latin because I was ahead of my class. So I was teaching my classmates Latin, and their parents would pay me pretty good money. And the thing is, I was, naive enough not to know that there is more than just being a little ahead of your classmates. But on the other hand, it gave me very valuable, insights into what it is like to have to motivate someone, to have to make someone succeed.
Yeah, that's really cool. What toy or hobby did you have as a child that inspired what you do career-wise today?
Definitely writing and music, and writing in all senses. So I wrote my first book when I was 5, and it was not very long, written on toilet paper because I, I did it during times when I should have been sleeping, and writing, but also writing music and just expressing myself. And it has always been absolutely important, not just for my private life, but also for whatever I do in my professional life. It is create something, express yourself, fail, go back to the drawing board, but keep communicating with whatever means you have, with whatever ways you can express yourself, whether it's visual or, orally or, painting or drawing or writing, typing. It all matters.
Yeah, that's great. I recently picked up a pretty consistent journaling habit, and the ability to write out stressors or situations or anything that's kind of cycling through me more often than it should. Like, I even have thought of the solution once, but the act of writing it out is very cathartic and allows a clearing of sorts.
So powerful. It is so powerful.
Well, what was your favorite and least favorite course in college?
It was called creative writing at that time. But they also taught us to basically present our work. And it was the best class by far. So we would be put into a situation where you had to write about something that maybe you weren't even fan of, and then really fight for it in a debate in class. And I loved that class. The class that I liked least was actually, it was my typing class, because I thought it was so stupid. But after all, after I got through the whole curriculum, I'm so thankful I did it. I'm so thankful that they made me type. I see a lot of people who don't know how to type, and it's such a blessing. So sorry I can't go back. Say sorry to my teacher. I was a pain in the arse at that time.
That's cool. What quote from a famous person lives in your mind rent free? What's your famous quote?
It's a very old Latin saying that helps me sometimes when I'm stuck, which means it says cogito ergo sum, which means I think, therefore I am. And you can use it in many, many ways, not to kind of overemphasize your cognitive abilities, but to assume responsibility for who you are, what you do, what you're building, and also to assert yourself in the moment. So that quote is very powerful.
I think there's I've been learning this concept of be versus do. So being rather than doing. We're human beings, not human doings. And that quote would definitely kind of help with centering yourself in being rather than what am I supposed to do right now? Well, you just like think, therefore you are, and love that. Cool. Well, I'm excited to learn more about EarKick. And so to do that, I'll ask you this question. What tech trend significantly impacted you or your industry, and how did your company respond?
Many, many parts of tech, but I'm just going to name a few. The ability to sense in all cases, well, it's like to sense and to be able to pick up, let's say, early signs of cognitive decline, early signs of mood disorders, and catch biofeedback. This is not that old. It was really up and coming in the last few years, and that paired with the ability to really process in real time vast amounts of data, and then you put on top of that all the LLM capabilities and all the capabilities that make it so accessible for everyone. That has been a huge, huge thing, not just for me, for a lot of people. And I think really for the future, it's the thing. And, a lot of people would know ChatGPT, for example, but also the whole wearable industry, everything that you now can track, and then you can make sense of it. And it gives you the power and hopefully the knowledge to make better decisions for yourself, for others, for your life, for your career, for your everything. And then having kind of the ability to interact with that data, to have it explained in terms that you can access it, in terms that you understand, to have it visualized, to have AI create examples for you, and interact with AI as we can now, where AI has eyes and ears, and it's just very good at many, many things that used to be very painful.
Yeah, that's cool. So, what are 3 technology innovations you're betting on to drive your business growth?
Definitely everything XR. I think there is so much more that can be done. A lot of it is in the making, but we have just begun to see what it can support humanity with. So that's one for sure. And then everything in terms of scanning the body, scanning tissue, scanning, like tech, health tech, and image recognition to the depth, the most depth that we can achieve. But then again, the whole conversational portion of AI, where I think if we do it right, and I'm emphasizing if we do it right, we can make so much of the benefits of AI accessible to a much broader audience, and not just geographically, but also like in terms of age. I think of my parents, being able to reap the fruits and the benefits of technology by way of having it explained to them or having it accessible easily. So those are three things that I believe will really propel whatever we build forward.
Yeah. And you mentioned XR. I just want to define that for folks. So XR is the combination of both AR and VR, right? So your virtual reality and your AR. Do you want to go into more details about that? Is EarKick using extended reality in some way in their business concept?
It is not yet, but it's basically getting ready to seamlessly integrate it. Again, I have to be very clear here. I'm not worried about technology not, being able to create certain things. I totally believe in the advancement and the leaps that are happening right now. Where I have my focus on is on the other side and the human side, because no technology, whether X or AR, whatever it is, will have any value if we cannot attribute it any value. If humans on the other side, the ones using it, do not feel like they've been helped, like they've been supported, then, what is it for? Like, then we've missed the point. And so I think XR can really help in so many situations where people can immerse themselves in it, connect previously disconnected situations or feelings or conversations. You can create whole worlds where somebody can experience something that would otherwise not be easy to stage or easy to experience. This goes into education. This goes into simulating things. This goes into having really deep conversations in an environment that makes it so much easier for you to take part in that. And to some extent, I believe it's fair, because if you grew up or you're in a geography that just doesn't have certain experiences available, or certain teacher available, or certain materials, environments are available, XR can really tackle that on a totally different level.
Yeah, we work with a lot. We have a virtual reality group that's working with a safety company mainly. And so we've created all these safe training, forklift operation, safe patient handling for healthcare, just a long list of safety experiences where in a very, for a $300 headset, somebody can go take several hours of training before having to take any risks in the real environment. And so, yes, tons of really great applications in safety. Tell me a little bit more. I just have so much curiosity about what EarKick is really specifically doing, selling right now, and how you're at the level in which you're comfortable to share how they're using some of these emerging technologies to broaden their offering.
Yeah. So EarKick basically is an AI-empowered platform, and then you can download, without registering, by the way, download the app. It's called EarKick, And what it does is you can speak video or type into it, like you described in your journal. You just say something about today, how you're feeling, whatever you want to express and what is relevant. And while you speak it, for example, the algorithm will already analyze your voice, how you speak it or how you type it, the sound, the spaces between words, etc. And it will auto detect not only, your anxiety level, stress level, not only your emotions, but also the reasons. It will also catch the context and be able to correlate it. And this is within seconds, like almost real time, correlated with other data such as sleep data, movement, steps, weather, everything that could influence your mental well-being, your mental health state, your mood, and your anxiety. And so within seconds, you have sort of a pre-filled little journal page. And again, all you did is speak into it quickly with your symptoms, with the level of your, what's going on. And based on that measurement, because that's measuring biofeedback and correlating all this data, based on that, you will get a message from our panda-shaped avatar, if you will. So it's our little mascot, and it will start engaging you. It would say something to the tone of, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that today has started, on a wrong foot for you, and you're not feeling well. How about doing this?" So it starts validating what you are going through and giving you actionable suggestions. And you can share whatever mundane little problem or maybe a bigger problem or something that you have been carrying with you for ages, and it can deal with it because it has a very stunning, a very proprietary memory. So maybe I have to explain this a little bit, but LLMs and these models don't have an awareness of time, obviously, and so you have to create that, and you have to make sure that the conversational agent that is on the other side does know the difference between, oh, this happened just now, this happened maybe, a week ago, and hey, this happened long ago. And then make sense out of this and be able to encourage you and re-engage you and really have a conversation with you. So that's the main part that EarKick does, but there's much more to it because basically it keeps tracking your mental health, it keeps tracking your emotions, keeps tracking all of that, keeps sending you reports every week about how your most important trends were and what they mean. It keeps engaging you. You can customize your panda to be more of a physical coach or more of a therapist, psych coach, or more of a chummy, cool friend, and then converse with it as it suits you. You can create goals and establish micro habits. You have a daily goal. You have everything basically in one place that is needed to take ownership of your mental health, your emotional health, and your physical health to a certain extent. And empowering people to do that is a huge step toward really owning their own challenges one day at a time. So EarKick does that. Go check it out, download it, rank it 5 stars, please, so people can find it. And, get in touch if you have any suggestions how we can make it better for you.
That is so awesome. Well, what do you think are the most significant gaps between your ambitions and the realities of today? Like, where do you want to take this, and what are some gaps that you're finding just with what's available today?
That's a great question. First of all, we ship new versions every week because we're very aware of how much better we can make it. This is just the beginning. We envision that everyone on this globe who is obviously on the spectrum of mental health and well-being, has some kind of companion that is on their side, that helps them, that knows them really well, etc. On that path, there is still a lot to refine, a lot to build. And we constantly learn. What I am seeing as a gap is really the misconceptions around AI, the misconceptions around, you know, how it is dangerous or how it is this and that, all the dystopian fantasies that people put out there, all the anxieties around it. I feel that's a lot. That's in the way of really making this a collaborative effort. So I wish we could sit down with everyone and show it to them, explain it to them, and have them really try it out. The doing, is what is missing. There's a lot of theory, a lot of talk, everywhere. People are talking about AI, but I don't see enough doing. And the people who actually get involved, they use AI on a daily basis. They challenge it, they question it, but they use it. Those are the ones who are at least in the way because they're doing it on a regular basis. And they're not trying to be out there, making everyone crazy. So that's one gap: the narrative, the story around what it is and what it isn't, and what it can do for humanity. And the other one is, well, I think everyone is clear about mental health being a real crisis, especially for young people, and everyone applauds you when you build in there, but it doesn't really, on the investment side, or when it comes to funding these things and helping to make them big, there is less of a willingness to really get in, right? And I'm seeing that gap as a challenge that we have to overcome.
Yeah, there's a good friend of mine is VC What If Ventures, Stephen Hayes. Shout out to him. He Okay, good. Yeah, he's a great advocate for these types of technologies, mental health technologies. So great that you know him. Let me ask you though, what is the biggest challenge to maintaining a competitive edge in your industry?
You have to relentlessly observe, test, A/B test, be in touch with your users as much as you can without losing sight of what else is going on. And in our case, I mean, again, we are a very, very small team. We ship new versions every week. We measure everything we do. And we particularly measure the product market fit score. We built a machine. We built an AI, an engine that does this automatically, and we really put effort into that, because product market fit is not something you reach and then you have it and then everything is fine. It's something that you approach, and then once you get it, you have to maintain it. And that's daily work. What is the user? What is the member? What is the customer thinking? What does he, she want? What can we scratch? What do we have to prepare for? And how can we best serve them so that they keep loving it? And another thing that is really important is to read through all the feedback. Like, we get feedback and mails and messages on a daily basis. You have to go there and you have to read. It's mostly not what you think. And it's so rich in information, but you have to be diligent.
That's great. Such an amazing product background you have, to just really hone in on that fundamental of listening to the user. How do you approach risk management when you're implementing a cutting edge technology or when you're rolling out something new? What's your personal take on risk?
You have to, well, risk is is what you make it, right? I mean, if there is a risk, prepare for anything you can. And then when you launch or when you go into that risky territory, be very, very, very thorough with your testing. Don't do anything without kind of measuring and questioning it. We've run millions of tests, for example, because there are tens of thousands of people talking to Panda and using it really for their lives. And so every possible scenario, everything that could or could not go wrong has to be tested over and over and over again. You're never going to be done, and you have to be fine with this. Then you have to have a company structure and team structure that, that allows for, at least two eyes on a problem, and that allows for somebody being replaced immediately. Things need to be documented. Everything needs to have a very clear structure and a very clear communication, a very, very thorough documentation, so that when something goes wrong, whether it's technically or with someone in the team, that you can go back and learn from it. So I think the attitude of, hey, this is going to be our daily bread, we're never going to be done, and it's fine that way, is something that allows you to live with risk, to mitigate risk, and to take it.
I asked this question because I love to see how people do their planning. What advice can you share for connecting your technology roadmap with your overall business strategy?
In our case, it's maybe a little, since we're a very small team, very tight-knit, we do write things down and we share our thoughts. I think the strategies, whether it's technical or the roadmap or the vision or whatever it is, right? Whether it's short-term, long-term, mid-term, you cannot over-communicate. There's no such thing. And to communicate even the things that are in your head, sort of swirling around, and to keep doing that allows your team, it allows yourself to align in a timely manner. There will always be moments where it just, doesn't gel. But that's why you have OKR meetings, where you look at the whole thing and then you divide it down and you negotiate it within the team. I'm aware that with a small team, it's much easier. But then you have something that you put in written and that is not changed, and where you can learn along the way, and where you can see how your colleagues think, how they decide, how they assess a certain situation or a certain goal that they set themselves. That's one thing. And the other thing is, because we have a no meeting culture, a zero meeting culture, which means we have only one meeting per week, and it's a short one. It's a sync where everyone is in. And because you only have that, everyone prepares for it, and everyone shares something that you can then revisit or report something that is there. And so when there is a gap, or when you see that there is a misunderstanding, it will show pretty quickly. So on one hand, you have to over-communicate and then be as clear as possible. On the other side, you have to, in my opinion, avoid having all these terrible meetings where nobody pays attention and everyone feels like they have to be entertained. And the combination of both things have allowed us to have a very strong and fast working team.
That's so cool. So you mentioned OKRs. I kind of latched onto that because I am a big OKR fan, especially with teams that have goals that might kind of be tasks, and they don't really, like the KPI or measurement culture hasn't really come in. So like OKRs like really get that down. But what is your planning cycle? Are you doing quarterly, annual? Like,
depends. So it's there is no such thing as a perfect OKR structure. What we found out is, yes, quarterly is for the whole company. But when you are going into new territory, let's say, and you don't know exactly, then you can't really plan. And so two of the team or three of the team may want to do weekly or monthly, but they have to decide it, and they also have to organize and pitch it to us, right? Hey, this is the reason why I feel like I can't, I can't set any KPIs, or I can't really do this because I don't know, right? And then we find a way to time it so that they feel comfortable, so that there is no micromanagement going on, but then also that they don't get lost. We typically assume that everyone in the team is the expert in their respective field, and we trust them fully. And so there is no one going around controlling or doing, kind of questioning things. But we do expect people to pitch it. Like, if you can't pitch something that you wrote down, or if you can't really explain to someone who's not in your shoes what you're going to do and why, then maybe you don't have clarity.
Yeah, the buy-in from the team is just part of the feedback process, right? You want to give feedback.
It is. And what we also like to do is to kind of like reverse pitch, which means that I try to explain what I'm reading out of this OKR sheet. I'm trying to, as a, let's say, non developer, I try to make sense of what has been written down. And I think if I cannot do this, then there is not enough clarity in the sheet.
Well, so tell me a lesson that you learned from a tech initiative that failed, or any initiative really, that failed to deliver the expected value.
Especially in the beginning, when all you have is your vision and what you want to create. You have a lot of assumptions, right? And then you start building. And I remember we were about a year in, maybe 1.5, when the data just kind of like looked like we had to do something about the onboarding. We wanted to change it, okay? And we all came in with our assumptions. It's got to be this and that, and this is why, la la. And then we tested it, and it was dead wrong, like really dead wrong. People hated it, and it showed in the data. And I learned that most probably what I think is completely off. Most probably what my co-founders thinks is also completely off. And we cannot trust our own gut feels. We cannot trust our assumptions. The only thing that we can trust is data and tests. And so we revamped the whole thing again. And we went with something that did not really convince us. But it worked, right? And so you start not only accepting, but also loving what others love. So it may not be like it may not be your design that makes it, but it may be something that other people have been waiting for. And you have to fall in love with it. You have to fall in love with the problem. You have to fall in love with what the data suggests is the best way. Again, and it happens to me over and over again. I have a certain fixed idea, and I want this, and this makes so much sense, and here's this paper, and here's this and this, and I gather all the evidence that's actually supporting my point, right? And then I have to go back and say, I was so wrong. Sorry.
That's so good. I mean, I just feel like when we learn these lessons, they just become so visceral to us. Tell me a little more about how you've talked a lot about it already, but tell me a little more about how you cultivate a culture of innovation and technical fluency in your organization.
So it really starts with the people you hire. Because if you hire people that have this innate curiosity and the willingness to be wrong, the willingness to go out and look for solutions and not feel like they have them already, then you will have a type of a DNA that wants to innovate. Not, that doesn't do it because you say they have to or because the name says it or the title, but it's part of their DNA. That's one thing. And then along the way, you cannot have people innovate all the time because it's not a sandbox where you can all just have fun. And that's where the guidelines and the clarity of what we're going to do together needs to be very well communicated. There are spaces for creativity. There are spaces for crazy ideas. There are spaces for just getting things done, And when you have to get things done, you don't have to innovate. You just have to get things done. And you have to be very clear when is time, what is needed next. One other thing that we do is to make sure that everyone takes a certain amount of time to experiment or to do something kind of like that they feel is necessary or that they want to do, right? And another thing, maybe minor, but it has become such a tradition in our company. We all watch WWDC once a year, and we take off a whole week to just play around with what is new. Even when there is nothing super new, we really dedicate this whole week to opening up and to doing, everyone tries to bringing new things they learned, epiphanies, whatever. And we dedicate this whole week to it. It's always a lot of fun. People really would love to do it twice a year, but there's only one. Yeah. Those are the things. Also, we share a lot of resources in terms of like somebody reads something. It doesn't have to be related to what we do that inspire them. And as long as it's not oversharing, it keeps kind of the juice going, the flow going. Again, I think a lot of it is really communication. Or you found something out or you designed something new and you share it with everyone and you kind of give some context. And so people feel like, oh yeah, I can do that too. And I want to share it too. And I'm alive. And this is a pulsating product that keeps changing. And I have a say here. I can bring in my ideas and I can test around. Look, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just the timing, the briefing, the communication, the when has to be very clear. Yeah.
That's super cool. Well, what advice would you give or an experience you might share to somebody who's really starting their journey, either starting their entrepreneurial journey or starting a general transformation journey?
A lot comes to mind. I'm going to speak from my own experience. I think it wasn't until I understood that nobody's going to give me the answers for real, that I started enjoying my own company in this journey. I have to explain. For some reason, I always felt that there is some master, some expert, some whatever advisor that can feed me some of the information so I don't have to go through the pain of experiencing it myself or go get the answers myself. And this tendency I had to really let go of. So yes, I still get good advice. Sometimes I do have people around me who are much smarter than I, who can really give their opinion. But I stopped having this expectation, oh, somebody else knows better. Oh, somebody else can give me the answer. And when you stop having this expectation of yourself and you start enjoying this exploration, this massive curiosity, this risk-taking to some extent, that's when you really settle into a entrepreneurial journey, whatever you build. So if you can take some time and really assess, do I trust myself to go out there and look for things and create things out of thin air and look for the answers and reinvent the wheel if necessary? Take the time and make sure that you have some of that. And then, because you're going to see so much rejection, you're going to see you're going to make so many mistakes, you're going to hear so much BS from so many people. You have to have this kind of center in you that tells you, I'm going to go do it myself. I'm going to experience it myself. I want to be 100% alive while I'm doing it. And I'm not going to wait for somebody to come serve it on a silver platter.
Yeah, so good. So good. Well, if people like what you had to share today, how should they connect with you? How would you like people to reach out?
Oh, I'd love for them to connect on LinkedIn. Or you can also write me an email. It's Karen at earkick.com. You can connect with me via Twitter. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. We also have a more general email, hello@earkick.com. Feel free to just share, ask, suggest. There's nothing that I won't read.
Awesome. Appreciate it. And of course, go download the app and try it out. I'm excited to do so. It's been great speaking with you and learning more about you and your leadership style, how you accelerate business, and also about EarKick. So thanks for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me, and hope to see you again.